When I'm asked why did I get into equity work, why did I get interested in social justice, I turn to my childhood. When I was young, I lived in Indonesia for a few years due to my dad's work, Indonesia being the most populous Muslim country in the world. Fast forward to 9/11 and all the fear and the hate and the Islamophobia, I knew it was wrong. This snowballed into an international relations degree, followed by the Peace Corps, followed by more public service and trying to synthesize all the cross-cultural work I had picked up. By reflecting on the past like this, suddenly we have clarity. Suddenly the present makes more sense. We start winding down the series with reflection. We need to slow down for this theme. Imagine ourselves as the tortoise right now, slow and steady. A sense of urgency is a tool for us, not a constant. We try to push a sense of urgency, of needing to act now, to spur people on who are dragging their feet. When it comes to equity, we aim for sustainability. We're looking to change systems and reinforce and strengthen our new, more equitable processes. Under the best situations, it takes time. Remember two earlier lessons. We engage in learning and unlearning. We have to work on self-care. Many of the themes include thinking and strategizing through challenges. All these require us to sit down and to think before we act. It takes humility to be the tortoise. Yes, there are problems now. People are in need now. We must have the humility to know that the world doesn't rest on our shoulders alone. That if we take a moment to slow down, we aren't failing people. We're in this for the long game, not short-term gratification. Now, slow down more. Slow down to the point where it feels kind of inconvenient. Be the turtle, drifting lazily in the water. When I say slow down, it's not to wait on the starting line, anxiously anticipating the start of the race so we can take off as soon as the flag goes down. It's to sit in the slowness. It's to really take it in. When we talk about reflection, it is to focus on it. It is prioritizing reflection. It's each of us finding the patience, the willpower, and the commitment to reflect. Why reflection? One way to consider it is through the common phrase about the definition of madness. To do things the same way twice and expect different results. It leads us then to wonder, how do we actually try a new approach, aim for a different goal, really pivot to a new belief? It's easier said than done. It's a matter of repetition to practice what we're learning. It's accountability. We need some stakes, some skin in the game. And it's hindsight. We reflect and evaluate what's happened. We get wiser and apply said wisdom. We're going to cover our first 5 sections of the guidebook and series and their themes. As I talk about them, the rationale behind each, I ask to reflect on the following questions. Which themes, perhaps even individual points within, resonated and why? What stuck with us? Also, please critique what was not as useful and why. Was the point not clear? The example provided didn't match your experience? Perhaps it's a lesson you already knew, so you didn't learn as much. What challenged us? What did we not want to believe? What might we still think? I'm not so sure about this theme or argument. I'm still not convinced. Why? And finally, consider where we were during each section, where our understanding was before and where it is now. We started with our introduction section. When developing this section, I first considered what themes could stand on their own. Which ones didn't necessarily need other lessons to build off of? Context, self-responsibility, internal barriers, at least for me, were more straightforward. Also, I considered what are some of the earlier questions many of us ask. How do we deal with external barriers? How to figure out the glossary of terms? Which categories of people to help first? This all developed a foundation with the critical lens to wrap it all together. This to me was the right 7 lessons. If someone decided not to continue, they'd at least have this groundwork to walk away with. Equity, inclusion, social justice, these mean so many different things to so many different people, whether they're advocates, scholars, whether they're just trying to survive the day-to-day, or if we're local government professionals. The common thread that I have found that ties us all together is we challenge the status quo. We each take exception to something, or likely several things, in the way our organizations, our society, our norms operate. Regardless what we think the problems are, what we think the solutions are, this second section was designed to help us be critical of our profession, organization, and community. We discussed what is considered normal, challenged traditional views of objectiveness, we hit on power both in theory and application, discussed history and historiography, and wrapped up with one of the most important and controversial themes being privilege. With the foundation, with establishing the current state, we turn to the real purpose of the guidebook. The name's not a metaphor. The primary aim is to get those of us genuinely interested in promoting equity to the point where we can start taking action. That's changing something about us. It is about the self. Our organizations don't have to, nor will they, change on our behalf so we can take action. We are the ones who have to change. As we got into self-awareness, self-mastery, and the personal journey, we hopefully also pushed back the other common misconception that the work is about changing others. That comes much, much later. We practice self-care, we learn and unlearn. If we really want to influence others, it takes us building the knowledge, skills, and behaviors to do so. That's still on us first. We finish with a few other self-centric themes of emotions, levity, and storytelling. Concepts. Okay, you caught me. This is really more or less the miscellaneous section. Progress, earning, truth, social, humanity, and personhood, they're deeply important themes to equity work. These are also lessons that we're not going to find in a typical diversity glossary, thus the importance to talk about them here. And they just didn't neatly fall under the other sections, and so they served as a bridge. After focusing on the self, these provided a few more lessons before getting right into our next section of preparation. As we stated, it's to each of us to take action, and hopefully the series can get us right up to the edge. Hopefully we've made taking the dive look much more doable and much more enticing. With outcomes, time, effort, and a team, we discussed how to do the work. And then we covered some examples among many with budgeting, planning, clerks and civics, recreation, and infrastructure. We could have done an example video of any local government profession, function, or service. We could write entire novels on each. The examples gave us a taste, gave us options of where we can start doing more direct equity work. The point of reflection is it helps us ask the question of what is next. Which themes inspired us? Which do we feel we want to learn more about? What ideas excited us, felt reachable, and which are just out of our wheelhouse? When we don't know what to do next, when we feel lost, stop. Reflect. The answers are there for us. The answer is likely not going to be easy. The answers we uncover may lead to even more questions, and that's all good. Remember, it's not urgency, it's sustainability, and that starts with each of us. Reflect on what the series has provided and what you can do now. Reflect on what the series hasn't given each of us and what we can still read, train, and practice on to get to where we want to be. Up next, we cover the topic of warning.